Aloha! Sandra Razzielli here. Today I'd like to share with you a practice that really focuses on getting fluidity in the spine. You will need a strap, 2 blocks, and something like a chair or a ledge to lengthen your spine. All right, let's roll the shoulders a few times just to get ready to move and groove. And I'm going to start over. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandy, for editing. Okay, I forgot to set the timer, and it's important this time. Okay. Aloha! Sandra Razzielli here to move and groove with you today. Today we're going to do a practice that helps to really create mobility, fluidity in the spine. And for the practice, I'd like you to have 2 blocks, a strap, and either a chair or a ledge to lengthen your spine. So we're going to start by just rolling your shoulder blades. Shoulder blades are next to the spine. Having them move is important for the spine's movement as well. Just up and around a few times. All right, then go ahead, go to your ledge or edge or chair. Take your hands shoulder distance apart, bend your knees, and lean back. Take a few breaths here. Inhaling, exhaling. With the knees bent, reach your sit bones back. Have a little bit of your lumbar curve. Be careful that you're not sinking your rib cage. I have a tendency to do that. I try to catch myself. I'm getting better at it. And then very slowly move towards straightening your legs, only as much as you can keep your spine lengthening. If you find your spine rounds, stop and keep the knees a little bit bent. Good. And then take a step forward, come up to standing, and roll your shoulders again. So if you don't have a lot of time, that might be enough. That's a good thing to do throughout the day. But we have more to explore. So come onto your hands and knees. I mentioned shoulder blades, important for spinal mobility, getting into that space between the shoulder blades. Scarabasana, one of my favorite things to do, I think in 2016, I still love it. Have your hips above your knees, hands under your shoulders. Spread your fingers gently. Externally rotate your arms. Slide your shoulder blades away from your ears. Let your head release. And then draw your shoulder blades towards each other and away from each other. It's going up and down. So this is a movement of the shoulder blades again. So part of the reason we do a movement in the shoulder blades is so we're not overusing the trapezius muscle, which is a muscle at the base of the neck. It's actually a big muscle. It goes pretty far down the back. But we often tend to overuse that muscle and not use some of the other muscles in the back. So up and down, feeling that space between your shoulder blades. All right, and then come back to neutral again. If at any time your hands get tired or you feel it's too much on your wrist, feel free to come onto your knuckles. And then a few cat and cow tilts. So let's start. Draw your sit bones down. Go slow, the first one. Incrementally, inky dinky spider. All the way up. Let your head release. I know some of you watching have some extra curves in your spine, so be careful here. Lift up the convex side. Let the concave side release. And then go downward. And then go the other way slowly. Lift the sit bones one vertebra at a time. Arching the back. You're going to get to a spot where you feel you want to lift your head. Before you do that, slide your shoulder blades strongly away from your ears. Lengthen the chest forward as you lift it, and then lift your head. Take a moment here. Breathe into the chest. All right, and then go back and forth at your own pace. The exhalation, rounding, inhalation, opening up the chest. Feeling into the spine, you may notice if there's some parts that aren't moving quite as well. Take your time with those spots. Exhaling. Inhaling, maybe begin to make the movements a little faster. Means the breath will be a little faster too, that's good. Okay, and then back to neutral. From neutral, tuck your toes under. Time for puppy pose. Getting the length in the spine, a little more opening in the rib cage. Left hand as far forward as it will go. Right hand as far forward as it will go. Root down with the hands. Now, before you do anything else, slide your shoulder blades away from your ears. Bring your gaze slightly forward. Lean back. Keep looking forward as you lean back. Breathe into the side ribs. Keep reaching back. Then let your ears come to the height of your arms and lean back still. All right, and then child's pose. Next inhalation, come up to sitting, roll your shoulders a few times. Time for downward facing dog. Of course, you can always do puppy pose instead, but your choice. Bend forward, take your arms forward. Then bring your hips over your heels. When I use this mat, which I often do when I'm filming, I take my hands to the outside because it's a little slippery for me. You can either do that, grab onto the mat, or keep your palms on the mat. Tuck your toes under. Lift your knees up. Take your hips back. Lengthen through your spine. Root down at the base of the big toe, base of the little toe to get a little more opening width in the sit bones. And then press the top of the mat away from your feet as you slowly move towards straightening your legs. I feel my calves are a little tight today. Ooh. Take your time. Breathe. Just focusing right now on length, getting length in your spine. And then lift your heels as high as they will go. Take your sit bones back. At any time, come into child's pose. But if you're enjoying this, stay a little longer. Breathe. Lower the heels towards the floor, keeping the spine lengthening. Maybe take your hands and feet a little further away from each other. And then child's pose. Next inhalation, come on up to sitting. Roll your shoulders again. Notice the theme of rolling the shoulders. All right, and then have your strap within reach and lie down on your back. We're not going to use it quite yet, but we'll get there. So lie down on your back with your feet about mat's distance apart. Take your arms out to the side, either like a cactus or directly straight. Do one of my favorite recline twists, the Elvis twist. Go ahead and bring your left knee towards your right foot. Go slow. And as the left knee goes towards the right foot, the right knee goes out to the side, and the spine begins to spiral. Just go to wherever the knee kind of falls right now. Don't try to make it go any further. Breathe. Now use your right knee to lead both legs to come up. With your next exhalation, go over to the other side. Right knee to left foot, left knee out to the side. And then let's go back and forth with the breath. Inhale, the legs up. Exhale to the other side. Now this time, go more actively with the left knee towards the floor, so that you might find that the more you take your legs to one side, your head might turn to the other side. Coming up on an inhalation and down on the exhalation. And after you've done both sides an even amount of time, bring your knees back up. Now find your strap. So the backs of the legs, the hamstrings do affect the back, affect the spine. So let's take a little time to lengthen them out. So bend your left knee towards your chest, lasso your foot, extend your leg up and away, press your foot into the strap, strap into the foot, reach your heel up towards ceiling. Find the back of the leg. So right now just open up the back of the leg, let the other leg be relaxed. And then move the leg a little back and forth. Explore the range of movement. Being careful not to round the lower back, not to round your lumbar spine. Then take both ends of the strap into your right hand. Internally rotate your left leg. Take it a little bit over to the side to feel that outer edge of the leg talking to you, saying, hello, I'm here. Pretty much happens to everybody. All right, then bring your leg back up. Cross the strap. Give a little more tug with your right hand. It's going to get a little bit different spot in the calf. All right, and then bend your left knee, release the leg, feel the legs next to each other just a little bit. Can do a lot for creating an opening in the leg. Second side, right knee into your chest, swing the strap around your foot. Leg goes up and away, foot into strap, strap into foot, breathe. You might even take your hand to the back of the leg, remember to get it nice and long. And then move the leg a little forward and back. Sometimes when you do this, you can feel, what did you do yesterday? I was running in the park playing with the dog, so I was crouching down. I realized that to play with the dog, to really get him to run, I gotta get at their level. So crouching down and running side to side, I feel that a little in my legs. It's not my usual movement, but maybe I'll do it more often. It was fun. All right, take both ends of the strap into your left hand. Internally rotate the leg. Take it just a little bit over. So you're not, this is not a twist yet, or not at all. It's just to get a little sense of stretch sensation, the outer right thigh. Come back up. Cross the strap. And give a little pull, a little tug with your left hand. And then bend the right knee. Great. Release the leg. And bend both knees. A little Tetrasana. Moving your arms and legs around different directions. All right. And then let's come back with the strap. Do a little twisting now. Take the strap around your left foot. Extend the left leg up and away. Take both ends of the strap into your right hand. Extend the left arm out to the side. Now for this twist, I'd like you to keep your left shoulder on the ground as you begin to take the left leg over to the right. Bend your right elbow so your right upper arm is on the ground to help the leg. Now, you do not have to go all the way at all. What I want you to more feel is that the spine is twisting. So left shoulder stays on the ground. Reach long through the left leg, arm. Breathe. To come up, first bend your left knee, unwind, release your left leg. Good. Second side. Bend your right knee, strap around the right foot, extend the leg, both ends of the strap into your left hand, right arm out to the side. So keep that right shoulder on the ground. That's going to ensure that you're really twisting the spine as opposed to just rolling it. Bend your left elbow, left upper arm on the ground to help support the leg. Your head might turn towards the arm that's towards the right arm, the arm on the ground. Oh, if you have a plant in the way, it's harder to move your foot. Whee. And to come up, bend your right knee. Unwind. Little Tetrasana. Since we're here, take your left ankle over your right thigh, bring the knee to the chest. Move the right leg around a little. It gets a little opening in the hip. And then second side, right ankle over left, knee into the chest, move around a little. All right, and then Tetrasana your way back up to all fours. So this time on all fours, get your 2 blocks. So I'm doing this more and more, where I put my knees on a little height. Because you see, that creates a different position for my spine. It's more like when I'm standing as opposed to when I'm here. You see there's an angle. My hips are lower than my shoulders. Here, they're more in line. So it's a little bit different way, this different position for your spine, more like being in mountain pose. So let's come back to Scarabasana. Externally rotate the arms. So you can see from this direction. We'll go this direction this time. Arms externally rotate. Hope you can't see my hands. There we go. So elbow creases. Face forward. Slide your shoulders away from your ears. Let your head release. Root down at the base of your thumb and forefinger. Bring your shoulder blades towards each other and away from each other. Up and down. All right, and then cat and cow tilts. Draw the sit bones down, arch your spine up. Let your head release, hold there for a moment. So being on the blocks, I feel a better stretch up in the upper spine. And then other direction, lift your sit bones, moving a little at a time, shoulders away from your ears, chest lift, head lifts, coming up. Exhale. Inhale. One more time. So now come back to neutral with your spine. I'm going to do a little bit of hip circling. Now, there's a couple of different ways, or more than a couple, many ways you can, probably infinite ways you can circle your hips, but what I'd like you to do is to circle them with a pelvic tilt so that you lift your sit bones back, shift them to the left, forward, and to the right. So a pelvic circle. And you'll find that your spine will move when you do this. A little cat and cow tilt action, maybe not as strong as we were doing before. And then switch directions. And then come back to neutral, puppy pose time. Stay on the blocks for though. Slide your shoulders away from your ears. Bring your gaze forward. Lengthen your collarbones towards the front of the mat. And then keeping your eyes forward for a moment. Lean back. Be careful not to sink into the ribs. Breathe. And then release your head. Find that length. Right, and then release puppy pose by tucking your toes under. And let's play with a little bit of a squat. Have your thighs and calves next to each other and walk your hands back. Play with bringing your heels onto the floor. Sometimes it helps to hold something heavy in front of you. And then let's shift the weight forward. Come back onto your hands and knees. So you're in a good position for coming into downward facing dog. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees up, take your hips back. Find that length in your spine. Maybe there's a little bit more than before. Okay, lift your heels, lower them, thigh bones press back, breathe. Rock your hips a little side to side. Then bend your knees. Lift your sit bones. Come into a little bit of that cow tilt. Open up the chest. Then draw your sit bones down, round your spine. So the knees are bent while you're doing this. Back and forth a few times. And then come back to a more traditional downward facing dog. And child's pose. Next inhalation, come up to sitting. And let's come up to standing. Take your strap bring your strap and put it on your shoulders for a moment and roll your shoulders. Get into the shoulder blades for added vestibular stimulation. Circle your body as you circle the shoulders. I'm going 2 times one direction and then 2 times the other direction. That's 1. That's 2. Feel the feet grounding, spine lengthening. Take a hold of your strap. My favorite up and down strap activity. Hold onto the strap between your thumb and forefinger. Inhale, arms up. Remember, shoulder blades affect the spine. On your exhalation, begin to take the strap behind your back without moving the center of your body. Right? Get into that space between the shoulder blades. And then again, roll the shoulders a few times. And this time let's keep holding the strap, but we'll do a side bend. So take your arms on up, root down with the feet, lengthen up through the spine. On your exhalation, begin to side bend towards your right. As you side bend towards the right, turn your head towards the left. Now keep your body in the same sagittal plane. By that I mean, do not kind of come forward. You want to keep the sense of really just literally bending to the side, not front or back. Focusing on bending from the rib cage right now, not so much the waist. Come back up, reach up with both arms, and then those of you in the extra curvy club, do the same side of your concavity, the compressed side. Everyone else do the second side. So I'm going to stick with the first side. Just opening up a little on the sides of the ribs, being careful to try not to compress too much on my opposite side of my waist. Challenging thing to do. Inhale, come up. Good. And then release. You can put the strap off to the side for a bit. And now we're going to move some more in the pelvis to help free up the spine. part of the pelvis connected to the spine, of course, and the lumbar spine especially. So we're going to do a few pelvic tilts, just forward and back, right? Forward, back, forward, back. So when you do these movements, there is the option of really squeezing the buttocks when you come to that forward movement, but I'm not going to ask you to do that today. You can try it once to see what it feels like, but I'm really encouraging you to create the movement from your spine. So you might even take your hand onto your spine. And again, if you want to add some vestibular movement, which is the inner ear, right? Changing where you are in space, you can circle one direction, and then go around in a circle the other direction, all the while tilting, moving that lumbar spine. So you got the lumbar spine moving forward and back. So you guessed it, maybe you didn't, but now we're going to move it side to side. So start with your hands on your hips, bend your knees a little bit, and lift the left side of your hip, and then lift the right side of your hip. You can imagine your spine is going shoop, 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 shoop. Encourage the movement to come from the hip first. Your knees are going to bend and move, but right now we're making the movement from higher up. There's like subtle ways that you can make the movement from your knees first or from your back first, and it makes a difference in how it looks, especially when you're like going for a certain dance look. I've learned like in Tahitian dance, they do a lot, they initiate from the knees to do these circles, whereas in hula, it's often a lot more initiated from the hips. So side to side. Now come back to center. Let's put it all together. So front, left, back, right, front, left, back, right, and then smooth it out. Again, moving from the spine, the pelvis. You can put your hands there to help create that movement. And then other direction, front, right, back, left, front, right, back, left, front, right, back, left. Ah, the sounds of Alexa telling me an alarm is my laundry's ready. Sorry about that. I will tell her to turn off and be right back with you. Alexa, stop! There, you see how well it works. Okay, now let's smooth it out. Round and round. Working keeping the upper body steady as you're circling the hips. Good. Then come to straighten the arms. Take a moment, mountain pose. Straighten the legs, feet grounding, spine lengthening. Breathe. So let's move from the lumbar spine to a little bit more movement in the thoracic spine. So for that, we're going to start again with forward and back. With the forward and back, it's more a lifting up and then rounding back. So if you think of those cat and cow tilts, just the mid-spine part of the cat and cow tilts. Your head's going to move, but not too much movement in your back, your lower back or your pelvis. So up and down, lifting, lowering, lifting, lowering. In Z Health, they call these thoracic glides. Okay. And then, since we went up and down, we're going to go side to side. Go to the left and the right. Now, I know for some people this is not a common movement. So if you don't go very far, that's okay. Just play with it. I know some students, when they first started, they couldn't do this at all. Didn't even make sense. And now they are gliding smoothly. So then smooth it out a little, side to side. Sometimes it helps to put your hands, give yourself a little tactile aid. Maybe you can take your arms out to the side, side. Notice the hips are staying pretty steady. You might notice it's easier to go to one side than the other. If you've noticed that, take a little time and go to the side a few times. It's a little harder. Sound effects are welcome. All right, back to center. Release your arms down. Now we're going to take diagonals. So keeping your hips where they are, bring your upper spine, well, more so your thoracic spine, mid-spine, and chest up and forward diagonally. And back. Diagonally to the right or to your left and back. All right, and then second side. So it goes forward and diagonal. So I'm going this direction. Now go back to the left. To the left and back, keeping the hips pretty stable. And then go to the back and right. You might feel some interesting movement in the belly. Back to center, take a moment, mountain pose. I think you know where we're going. We're going in a circle, forward, left, back, right, forward, left, back, right, and then circle it around. Come back to center, other way. Forward, right, back, left. Forward, right, back, left. Forward, right, back, left. Circling it around. And back to center. Take your feet a little wide. Let's take a big asana after doing all those movements. Just reach arms wide, legs wide. Roll your arms to your palms face up towards the ceiling. Nice big breath. Bring your hands under your hip. Bend your knees a little and hinge forward. Keeping your spine long. Take your hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Look up gently. Be careful not to sink the ribs. And then inhale, come back up. Walk your feet about hips distance apart. And let's do a few hip circles to the left. And to the right. We can continue to create some mobility and movement in this upper body area. If you feel like you'd like to do this next one sitting, you can. This is another shoulder blade mobility. Otherwise, standing is good. Just stand with your feet parallel as comfortable, feet grounding, spine lengthening. Take your left arm up shoulder height. Z Health, they call these camshafts. I'm open for another name if you have an idea. You're going to take your shoulder blade up and then down, squeezing it. Up and down. Again, the movement's from the shoulder blade, not the neck. Down, up, and down. You might experience a little crunching. Up and down. Second side, right arm up. Up and down. Up. I'm doing it 5 times on each side, in case you're wondering. Up. Notice I'm really moving from the shoulder blade. My hand actually almost doesn't move. Pretty cool. Okay. Now we did up and down. Time for forward and back. So still holding your arm not straight, but a little bit at an angle. I'll show you forward and back. You're going to reach your shoulder blade forward and then squeeze it back. So you get these muscles back here. Forward and back. Forward, back, forward, back, forward, and back, and release, circle. Second side, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. That was 3, right? Forward, back, one more time, forward, back. circling. And now, of course, we put it together. Left arm up, up, back, down, forward, up, back, down, forward, and then turn it into a circle. So sometimes, like maybe doing these isolations, some people love them, some people find them a little boring. I think it's whatever you find them to be in that regard. I encourage you to play with them because they help so much with a lot of other movements. Okay, second side. Getting those isolations, teaching your body to move all its different parts so that when you do the big macro movements, whoops, I forgot to go up, back, down, forward, up, back, down, forward. Then the macro movements and then circle becomes so much easier because your body knows how to do all those little micro movements. Okay, and then release. So this warmed us up for a little more shoulder movement. So getting into the groove. We're going to do the forward, the funny rolling forward and back one. So take your left shoulder up and around and back. Do that 3 times. And then take your right shoulder forward. And now we do them both at the same time. Right back, left forward. Right back, left forward. And then let's switch directions. So we did right back, left forward. Now we do left back for you and right forward. Right, left back and right forward. Left back and right forward. And then put them together. Okay. And then take a moment. If you want to make it a little bit more full body integration, you can bend your knees and get your hips to move too. So you see how your spine gets involved here. As you move your hips, you move your shoulders, and then switch directions. You can bend your elbows and looks better in a skirt probably, but it feels good in whatever you're wearing. Switch directions again. Another way. All right, since we're preparing you, maybe, to get out moving and grooving, you might want to turn on some music in a bit. Let's do another one that's kind of fun, which is a hip circle on the bottom and torso circle on top. So circle to the left, circle to the left. So on the bottom, circle to the left with the hips, circle to the left with your rib cage. Left, left. And then you might speed it up. Takes a little bit of practice to get it smooth. All right, let that go. Other side. Circle to the right with the hips. Circle to the right with upper body. Right with the hips. Right with the upper body. Hips. Rib cage. Hips. Rib cage. And then bring it a little faster. This side's a little harder for me. You can see I'm still working on it. There we go. All right, go ahead, let that go. A little shake, a little shimmy, move it all around. Find your ledge, even if it's a chair or a fence. Take your hands, bend your knees, lengthen back, breathe. Straighten the legs if that works for your spine. And then take a step forward. Roll your shoulders. We're going to come to some spinal movements that I don't teach very often in yoga class, but I really enjoy doing. So I hope you can find some joy in it too. We're going to move the spine from down to up, working towards creating a fluid style. The first time I think I did this with a group was taking a Haitian dance class. So you're going to start by bending your knees, take your pelvis forward, And then let your spine roll up. So as you roll up the spine, you straighten your legs. So again, we bend the knees. Pelvis comes forward. So you feel that you're going to round it first in the belly. Your belly pulls in a little. You round your back. But then as you straighten the legs, you lift the chest, the head lifts. Bend the knees. Roll up. And then you begin to make it a little more fluid. You can then begin to add a walk to it, but stay wherever you are. This is when you become very much like a snake. A walking snake, that is. Don't worry, I'm not going to walk too far. All right, so now we're going to go the opposite direction. Well, that was down to up. We're going to go up to down. So there's a few steps in that one. That one is you first do lift your chest up, and all those thoracic lifts we did, and then you go back, and then down, forward, back up. So a number of steps. It's up, back, down, forward. Up, back, down, forward. You can have your knees a little bit bent as you do this. Up, back, down, forward. And then smooth it out. And those of you who have already got the hang of it, keep going. Try to get all the different parts of your spine and maybe go in a circle. Add that vestibular stimulation. Make sure you're breathing. Sometimes doing these things is a little awkward. It's easy to forget to breathe or just to stop breathing. All right, switch directions, those of you going in a circle. All right, take a moment, mountain pose. Find that stability within the fluidity. Feet grounding, spine lengthening. Reach down with your hands. So after doing all these different spinal movements, let's take a little time to explore what your spine feels like in a standing pose. We'll come into Warrior One. Take your legs wide, about a leg's length apart. But before, sorry about that, take your two blocks, have them ready out in front of you. So take your legs wide, arms wide. Big asana, reaching from the center on out. Bring your hands onto your hips. Turn your right leg in, turn your left leg out. Lift your back heel, pivot. Reach long through the back leg. Take a moment, bring your right hand to the top of the right thigh. Lengthen the top of the right thigh. Down. Reach your right arm on up. Reach your left arm on back. Remember those side bendings we did? Get a lot of length in the right side of your rib cage. And then switch arms. Take your left arm up, lengthening that left side of the rib cage. Take your right arm up again, left arm back. Now take your left arm to meet the right from the space between the shoulder blades. Gently look up, your whole spine coming into a gentle arch. As you keep that gentle arch of the spine, you might decide how to shift your leg placement like I just did, and then bend your front knee. Reach long through the back leg. Be careful not to poke the ribs too much, although it is a back bend, so there is that arch that does happen, especially as you look up. Nice fluid spine. I'm always playing with my rib cage, a dance between going into the back bend and not overdoing the rib arch versus letting myself open up in the chest. It's a constant dance for me, maybe for you too. All right, bring your hands to your hips. Straighten the front leg, we'll go the other direction. Left leg in, right leg out. Reach long through the back leg. Take your left hand on the top of the left thigh. Lengthen there. And then lift the left arm up. Reach the right arm back. Breathe. Switch arms, right arm up, left arm back. Switch arms again, left arm up. Then bring your right arm to meet it, root down with the back leg. Look up a bit. Get that length in your spine. Bring your gaze forward, keep the reach for your back leg, keep the reach in the upper arms. Bend the front knee. And again, finding that play, the dance of the pose. And then to release, straighten your front leg. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn your legs forward. Let's hinge forward onto the blocks. Bring your hands on down. Hold for a moment. Press your thighs back. Breathe. And then walk your hands as far forward as they will go without moving your hips. Get a little more length in your spine. Option to stay here or bring your hands to the floor. Let your spine release down. Good to come up, bend your knees a little bit. Walk your feet a little closer. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, come up. Walk your feet together. Take a moment, mountain pose. And then now that you've created fluidity in your spine, let yourself move whatever direction feels good with that fluidity. Let's explore. And if there were any of the movements we did earlier, those up to down, the down to up, a little bit of the shoulder circles, hip circles, other circles that maybe we didn't do today, but you've done other times. Just letting yourself flow. And flow your way down to the ground. Lie down on your back. Grab one of your blocks. Place it between your knees. Exhale. Let your belly soften. Make a nice full inhalation with expansiveness as you exhale, let go. Take your arms out to your side. Lift your hips a little. Shift them to the right. And very slowly take your knees to the left. As you take your knees to the left, keep your right shoulder on the floor. So your spine is going to incrementally move into the twist. Let your head turn to the right or encourage that action. Next inhalation, bring your knees up. Use the left leg to help bring the knees up. So create the movement from there. Shift your hips to the left. And then slowly, legs go down to the right. Let the spine spiral. And then use the right leg to bring your knees back up. Put the block off to the side. Extend your legs, take your arms by your side. It's time for Shavasana. Go ahead and close your eyes. Now that your spine has has experienced a little more fluidity, let your breath be fluid. Just let it flow on its own. And let the flow of the breath guide you to Shavasana, to relaxation. And then slowly and gently, without any additional movement quite yet, bring your awareness back to your body, back to your breath. And then bring a little movement to your fingers. Bring a little movement to your toes. Reach a little through your arms, reach a little through your legs. Bend one knee at a time, roll over to your side. Make your way up to sitting. And then bring your palms together over your hearts. May the movements that we've explored today support your body, your being, to experience a greater sense of comfort, joy, ease, and freedom. Namaste. And mahalo. I hope you've enjoyed playing with your spine in different directions. You might have found like there's some parts that are a little harder to move, and you might just throughout the day do a little thoracic lift or a little pelvic tilt or just little movements to explore them. And if some of those spinal movements we did, or even some of the isolations, are challenging, because I know they're not something people normally do, it just takes time. It's building new muscle awareness, new neural pathways. So I encourage you to play with it. If you want, let me know if you have a favorite move. And thank you very much for watching. Namaste. Mahalo. Till next time. Aloha.